Somebody who sees it firsthand all of the time is my guest now, Asif Hussain, who's founder and CEO of SKT Welfare. It's a humanitarian group working in Gaza, who has seen and does see this firsthand. Asif, thank you very much indeed for joining me. What is famine? What does famine look like?
Good evening to everyone first. Thank you for having me on. This isn't really a debate about definition as such. This is about death from hunger. And as you've mentioned, you've seen it yourself. And as humanitarians, unfortunately, we're seeing it on a daily basis in Gaza, where people are dying. I mean, why do we need a definition? And there's an IPC standard framework, which we'll come into in a minute, that defines what famine is. Ultimately, this is about people dying of hunger. And this is forced starvation, stopping it, going into a war zone. This is a man-made famine, by the way. We're calling it a famine, although we could argue that the IPC regulation, only two of the conditions that are stated, one of which is 20% of households need to face extreme food shortages. Well, that's 39% in Gaza. The second is 30% of children are acutely malnourished. Well, 1 in 5 are way above that threshold. The only real threshold that hasn't been met is the one in regards to 2 out of every 10,000 people must die, or 4 children, 2 adults rather, or 4 children out of every 10,000. But that's just a statistic. I mean, we've seen the images on our TV screens and our social media screens. How horrific are they? Skeletons. Children looking like skeletons, and children, fortunately, are the ones that suffer the most as a result of this. So having a discussion about famine is all fine, it's all very academic, but ultimately it does not describe the reality on the ground, which is people are dying as a result of forced starvation.
Yeah, I merely sought to inform people this is why it's not officially being called a famine, not that I don't recognise it as such. But I think it's really interesting. Words have power, right? And it's really important that people go, well, they're saying it's not famine, so it's not famine. But it is the word famine and the classification of the word famine rather than what is actually happening on the ground. That's what I was really seeking to do. I want to get to another point about starvation. And that is, often you do see the children are first. We see these images of children. Why is it that children suffer with starvation so quickly and so desperately?
Well, children are always, as you mentioned rightly, are the primary. I mean, toddlers that are breastfed. So if their mothers aren't producing the breast milk that they need, or the quality of the breast milk, children are going to suffer. So we're talking about children up to the age of 2 that are being breastfed and being mothered are unfortunately not going to have that because the mother's not producing the milk. Secondly, it's really about the survival of the fittest. And we've seen parents lining up. Many have been, unfortunately, who have been shot and killed. So we have so many orphans in Gaza right now where they don't have parents to look after.
There are suggestions that these images have been exaggerated, or these children are suffering from other forms of childhood illness.
Our team's on the ground, and we've been in Gaza. SKT Welfare has since 2014. We support a lot of the hospitals. Al-Aqsa Hospital is one of them, which was recently bombed and has been bombed out throughout there. So we are talking to health experts on the grounds. We are talking to nutrition experts on the ground who are seeing children, who are treating these people, adults and the children, and that they are saying that this is as a direct result of malnutrition. We haven't seen this prior to this war. Not to this scale. Like you've said, we've seen images similar to this in Ethiopia, in Kenya, and other places where this is very similar to that. This is not a disease as such. What we're seeing here is very clearly as a direct result of children going hungry, unable to eat enough food to stay alive. And we're hearing that a lot, even our teams are saying that people are having to eat one meal every 48 hours. Now, we all know, and we use the metric that we use is 2,100 calories every single day.
The other thing that I've heard as an argument, which absolutely makes my head spin, is that, well, the women look healthy, they look chubby. One of my colleagues referred to as the women looking chubby, and suggesting that she gave some of her food to her children.
So the comment that you referred to was actually made on Israeli TV yesterday, where the news anchor was laughing at a mother holding a skeleton of a child. You could see that the child's ribs from the video shot itself, and then making, really nasty remarks in regards to saying that the mother looks fine. And she didn't, and that was the truth. She didn't look fine. And she had her clothes on, so we can't really see what she looks like underneath, how malnourished she is. Women traditionally wear the Islamic garb, so it's very difficult to see how they look underneath that. Whereas with children, those that are without clothes, it's very obvious. With the men, with the elderly, the frail, you can see how malnourished they are just by simply looking at the fact that they're walking around in skeletons. We've seen images of a father walking 12 kilometers, carrying back one bag of flour yesterday. And literally, by the time he got back to his tent, he collapsed on top of the bag of flour because it was, out of sheer exhaustion. You could see that all he had was just his frame, his body frame. There was no fat on him at all. And this is the whole point, that it's becoming political, and using it as satire as such is actually extremely dangerous and very unhumanitarian.
So you're on the ground there. You're seeing the effects of this. How long would it take to fix this? So, because we're talking about aid is now being airdropped in. It's not the most efficient way of doing it. Everybody who's ever covered a story like this will know that that's the truth of it. It can also be dangerous. It lands in the wrong place. That people are too scared to go and get it. It's not efficient. So we need lorry loads and lorry loads and lorry loads. How long does it take of food consistently going into the area to abate this crisis?
So we currently need, any human being needs 2,100 kilocalories per day. That's what they need. What we have right now is, so at 1,200 kilocalories, you're seriously deficient. That means that you're not putting back, restoring the energy that you've used for that particular day. Currently, every person in Gaza is receiving something like 500 to 700 kilocalories per day. So they are malnourished. We know that. That's from the data. What we need right now is unfettered access. So the food is available in Egypt, in Jordan. It's already been loaded onto trucks, ready to go into Gaza. The problem is the Israeli government isn't allowing enough aid in. With a lot of pressure, yesterday 73 trucks were allowed in. We need 1,000 trucks a day for a whole month.
Wow!
Just to bring back the energy levels of these people, to save off this starvation. But that's only food. Medicines needed, water filtration, purification equipment is needed. So people, so they can avoid these waterborne diseases. We can stop these people from dying from starvation, dying from hunger ultimately.
I just have to say at this point, because we don't have an Israeli representative, that they would argue that is not true. They would argue that they are willing to get the food in, that the food's available, and it keeps being stolen, or they're worried about it going to Hamas or being used by their enemy. And not that I'm defending that position, but I'm just saying that is indeed what somebody would say if they were here. So it's more likely, though, the level of food. This is again, I just want people to understand what it's going to take, how long it's going to take for this situation to just be evened out.
So 62,000 tons is required per month. So that's around 1,000 truckloads of food every single day for a whole month. That's what's needed. So our estimates suggest around 1,000 trucks a day. Now, the pre-war agreement with Egypt was that 600 trucks would be allowed in. 600 permits were issued. That meant that 600 trucks were allowed into the Gaza Strip. But because of the current situation with the starvation, with what we've seen, around 1,000 trucks of aid are needed every single day, including medicine, including water filtration equipment, water purification equipment, and the complex drugs that are needed to treat many of the varying injuries and disabilities that have been caused as a result of the war, as a result of bombs dropping on these tents. So our estimates are 62,000 tons per month for at least a year before we're in a position to say, now we're fighting the famine. We're in a position where it's definitely gone away.
And I was just reading earlier on a mother saying that she and her family have not eaten fresh food for months. No vegetables, no fruit, just maybe tinned food or packaged food that in some cases is out of date. So even when they are fed, it's not the sort of food that we would want to be eating.
So you're absolutely right. So all the arable land, which was very little because Gaza is so densely populated that they have to build these high-rise flats to live on there pre-war, they've all been now destroyed. All the arable lands has finished. They've grown what they could. I mean, the rest of it's been bulldozed over. And that's, we've seen that deliberately happen. So they're not able to do that. And they're more reliant. This is when we say this is forced starvation. And it's being done by every single angle, including destroying arable land. So the only alternative left is to bring aid into Gaza. And so the trucks are effectively saving these lives. And this is why we've been, for over a year now, putting pressure on the Israeli governments, on our own governments, to allow more food aid in, because Gaza, the people of Gaza, the 2 million people, are reliant only upon these trucks going in. And prior to that, it was 600 trucks a day. That was the agreed amount. Now it's 1,000. 1,000 a day is needed for at least the next year or so for us to be in a position that we're able to help these people.
Asif, thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your patience with the connection that we had as well. Asif Hussain, founder and CEO of SKT Welfare, humanitarian group working currently in Gaza. Quick break, back in a second.